Okay, welcome to the politically incorrect zone because that's what I like to be, politically incorrect. So don't have any youngins watching this. I curse freely and I don't say politically correct words. And this video is going to be a prime example of that. Now, one of the things I want to put into practice when doing this series is, and I want to address this, another full disclosure before this video, I get into the meat and bones of this video. Back in January, YouTube mentioned that towards the end of this year, they're going to start focusing their algorithm to concentrate on content that is authoritative. What they mean by that is if you see a content creator you like, whether you're on the left or on the right, and they're discussing topics that you like to listen to or watch or whatever that are politically related and anything sort of in that kind of zone or region, they're actually going to say, well, let's say, for example, you like to watch the Young Turks, or, well, I don't think they'll be affected by this, to be quite honest. But then again, they might. Anyway, let's just use them as an example. Or Steve Crowder, if you would like to watch Steve Crowder. They'll say, oh, you like this? Well, why don't you watch this? And then they'll point to big industries like CNN, NBC, MSNBC, Fox, whatever. They freely said this back in January. And so what I want to do on this portion of my channel where I'm covering these kinds of topics is the reason they're doing this, I forgot to mention this also, is because when you look at all these channels, maybe with the exception of Steven Crowder and the Young Turks, but if you look at some of these other channels that talk about politics in certain regions of the country or the world, whether it's in the mainstream media, whether it's in entertainment related topics like movies or video games, a lot of these content creators refer to certain articles and they'll use those as a reference for their commentary or their rebuttal. And that is the reason why YouTube feels they need to be authoritative with those as the mainstream content that they want to push on YouTube, because they feel, well, if even the detractors are using them as a resource, then we have to consider them authoritative. What I plan to do on my series is, instead of going to articles, I will actually use content creators. I'm going to comment on what the other content creators are talking about, not to necessarily rebuttal them unless they say something I don't agree with and I have something to say about it. But what I'm saying is they're going to be my resource. So when I talk about these topics, I'll link their videos and their stuff like that in the description. So you won't see me pulling up articles, not all the time, maybe once in a while. You'll hear me talk about a subject and I'll say, this is something I've heard, this is something I watched on so-so's channel. If you want to check out what I'm referring to, hit the link in the description. That's going to be my way to do it, because I do not want to give any more credence or any more juice to the authoritative algorithm when it releases. So that's what I'm putting into practice. With that said, this is more of an entertainment related thing. And this particular one, this is probably something you guys know about. I don't want to mention the sites, but I'm going to have to, because I didn't get this from a video. I got this from an article. So I'm not going to post the article here. I'll mention where I read this crap coming from, and you can go and find it yourself. But again, I don't want to give credence to the ones publishing. I'll give them the credit because that's where I read it from, but I'm not going to show it. All right, E3, right? E3 was great. Fantastic. I enjoyed it. I've been wanting to do videos on it all week, but because I've been sick and I'm just kind of getting back into the swing of things now, there's a lot of things I missed. That's not to say I'm not going to do videos on it, but I'm kind of, instead of going over the whole thing, I'm going to kind of focus on games that I'm more interested in. And there's going to be videos like that, entertainment related, that are going to be on the other part of the channel. The reason I'm bringing this particular one up, and this is about Final Fantasy VII, is because I thought it was a good topic for this kind of themed series that I want to do, where we talk about politically incorrect, right? How much we miss that, or at least how much I miss it. So Final Fantasy VII had a great presentation. I'm super excited about the game because I obviously, much like a lot of people, grew up playing that game. I remember playing the demo disc when it came out, and you got to fight Leviathan, and at that time the graphics were just incredible. And it was really, I was already a Final Fantasy fan before that. I had played Final Fantasy II on the Super Nintendo, and then I played Final Fantasy III, and then there wasn't a Final Fantasy again until Final Fantasy VII. And then from there, just went forward. So There have already been 2 issues already with Final Fantasy VII from the ultra sensitive. And that's what I'm going to call them, the ultra sensitive. The first one is the way Barret talks. Barret has always been depicted with this kind of dialogue. While you couldn't really hear, while there was no voice acting for Final Fantasy VII, the original, his text was very much, slang. Now, this is what bothers me about this. Basically, what the sensitives are saying is that he shouldn't talk like that because it's disrespectful to minorities, in particular African Americans. So what they're saying is they're under the assumption that all black people talk like that. You think black people are the only ones who talk with slang? Have any of these people been to South Bronx, Biloxi, Mississippi? Because I've been to Biloxi, Mississippi, and I can tell you right now, there's a lot of good old country white boys and country black boys that talk, and Spanish, because a lot of people from Puerto Rico actually hit Mississippi first when they come up from Puerto Rico, when they sail over. So there's a lot of little country white boys, country black boys, and country Spanish boys that live in southern Mississippi that talk slang. It's not exclusive to black people. So I think it's kind of funny that they're getting so upset about how he's talking because they assume that all black people talk like that. And you want to know something? Not all black people talk like that. There's white people who talk like that. There's Spanish people. I used to talk like that. If you watch all my videos, believe me, at some point or another, you're going to hear me break out into slang. In fact, you could even see something like with my whole, I can even look at myself now on the camera and I'm like, yeah, I see my hand going back and forth. Because it is offensive to assume that everyone talks like what you think a black person talks like. So that's my one issue there. Here's my second issue. There is a group of people on a said website I never heard of before until this week. Apparently, this is the biggest video game forum I've heard people have said on the website, which is mind-boggling to me because I never heard of them until this week. I think it's called Reset Era. All right. So these fucking Emmy Award winners are having a big debate about, well, this is politically incorrect, so I'm going to say it this way. Tifa's tits. Yes, they have a problem with Tifa's tits. Why? Because they think they're ridiculously big, and there was a big concern from fans of the game that Square Enix would nerf her boobs to be politically correct. Now, I'll throw up some of the footage now of the game, especially when it comes to her. You'll probably be seeing it behind me here. I'll lessen myself so you can see the whole thing. Her boobs look fine. I think they're perfect size. Now, I don't know why this is such a sensitive topic for people. Look, I know there are girl gamers out there. I know there are. And that's fantastic. And the more girls play games, the better. Okay? But it's still a large majority of boys and men that play video games. It's a large majority. I don't need statistics for that. I think everybody would agree that a greater majority of men and boys play games. Now, if I'm a game creator, I have to consider my market. I know that there's a bunch of 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old boys who love anime that are going to love a character with big tits. Is that wrong? No. What's wrong with it? Just the other day, we had a whole parade of women at the Pride Parade. Not only gay women, not only women who are lesbian, but straight women who were there to support, talking about free the tits. That was their slogan, free the tits. And they had their shirts off with their tits flopping and little like rainbow stickers covering their nips. You sensitive people need to make up your mind. It either offends you, either tits offends you, or you support free tits. I, myself, am a free tit supporter. Let them flop. There's nothing wrong with drawing. And look, it doesn't even look that bad. It looks normal. It looks normal. So she's heavy. She's top heavy. Big deal. Okay? I mean, can we really? Oh, God, they're so ridiculously large. That's what some people were saying on this damn forum. It's a fictional character in a game. They can be as ridiculous with them as they want. If you remember Final Fantasy VII, even though it was a sprite, her chest size compared to her sprite size was rather ridiculous. That's why people fell in love with her. That's why guys fell in love with her. I'm not saying she's not a good character. She's a great character. And she's got a very important role in the life of the fictional character Cloud in terms of them growing up together. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with eye candy. Can we stop? Make a choice. Either support the free tits or be offended. But you guys, you can't be offended when it's convenient for you or because you want to get, moral points. Well, what's moral points going to get you? Oh, more Twitter followers. Whatever. Anyway, we'll talk more about Final Fantasy on the other side of the channel where we're going to have more fun discussing the game. We're not going to worry about what Barret sounds like or the size of Tifa's tits. You know what I mean? So, anyway, guys, that's it for this one. We'll have more of these coming, believe me. I'm on a roll now. Now that I'm feeling better, it's time to play catch-up. Oh, and I'm getting a phone call. All right, guys, that's it. Take it easy.